Hey everyone, it's Yvonne. Thank you for joining us for another Mornings with Mayesh, our second Mayesh Design Star of 2023. Heather Sardela of Blossom and Bone Florals will be my very special guest today. We are going to be chatting about different ways people can become more sustainable beyond design mechanics that you may not have thought about, like composting, working with local ceramicists, paying living wages, and so much more. Let me just check that I'm live on all the things. And I feel like I am. Everything is good. If you've been with me live before, you know that I usually have kind of this horizontal look, but I'm able to change it to vertical. So we're going to try this out, especially since most of our viewers are on Instagram Live. So I just wanted to give a shout out to you guys and say, hey, hey, hey. Just a little reminder, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments for Facebook. But if you have questions in Instagram, I think there's like a little question thing, although I don't see it on my phone right now. But go ahead and put those in the comments too, and we will get to them as time permits. And also wanted to give a reminder for all of you guys that are watching, if you're not able to stay for the whole thing, or if you are missing this, just always know that we always post the replay with a podcast and the show notes up on our blog. And there's a podcast version of this. So you can um, save this in your favorite podcast app and listen to us when time permits. Just a couple more things that I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware about. We have our design tour happening, and super excited about that. We have our next one coming up at the end of next month, at the end of June. I can't believe that. Let me just bring it up and give you guys the link so that way you guys can check it out. Here we go. Here's the link for you guys. And we teamed up with Amy Balsters of the Floral Coach, and we're doing this amazing one-day workshop, live, hands-on. Again, our next workshop is coming up in Portland, Oregon, June 30th, and then we're going to be hitting up one, two, three, four, five, six more cities after that. So go ahead and check out that link, and we hope we can see you at one of those. Also wanted to give you a little friendly reminder. We had a really popular David Austin wedding package program last year. We brought it back this year, slightly different. There's 4 different palettes. Each has its own leading rose and then supporting roses. It's a really great deal. So make sure you check that out as well as you guys are planning for wedding season, because I know we're all heading into that and it's getting a little crazy. All right, so let me bring on Heather and we're going to get started. Hey, Heather.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here this morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you for being on. And, again, thank you for all of your work that you've done so far with your 2 videos for our 2023 Mayesh Design Star series, which were, focusing on sustainability. I think your messaging is really great. And I'm just so excited for everyone to get a chance to see you live and in person here on our live. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. I'm really very grateful that you guys gave me the opportunity to kind of spread my message a little bit more. And yeah, I'm just really, really thankful for the 2 videos I got to make and to be here with you today.
Awesome. So let's get started. And some of our viewers might not know who you are. So can we just start with, introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about your flower story?
Totally. So my name is Heather Sardella. I live in Durham, North Carolina. I'm a North Carolina native. And my husband and I started this business back in 2019, like November of 2019. And we started as a flower truck. And then COVID hit immediately after. And so that kind of nixed it in the bud. But we were really, really lucky, and we live in an incredible community that just wanted to keep sending flowers to their friends and family. And somehow we ended up selling daily deliveries out of our house, and it really worked incredibly well. And now we have a flower shop on Main Street, and we focus on sustainable floral design. We do special events, weddings, but we also do the daily delivery stuff, pickups, and all that. And I'm really grateful for just the Durham community for allowing us to do this in such a short amount of time. We've been really, really successful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love, you guys started at definitely a difficult time, I know a lot of people had to pivot. I know a lot of people are struggling. So I think that's
Yeah.
just a really great testament to, your passion and willingness to kind of push through and that support of your community. I mean, I love hearing those kinds of stories. It just, gives me the chills, really.
We were really, really lucky, and I'm so grateful. I don't take it for granted for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the reasons why obviously you stood out in our pool of candidates for this year for 2023 is because you do retail. We like to have someone that kind of represents that segment of the industry. And so,
Yeah.
did you want to talk a little bit about? I know, like we had a big, huge holiday. How did that go for you?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
did you
I'd
like
love
have
to.
any kind of strategy when you kind of hit up that holiday?
Yeah, so we actually, for Mother's Day this year, we kind of decided to scale back a little bit. I feel like every big holiday I do, I take something away, and I think the last couple holidays, my goal was always like, how good can I make this day for us? And I think that was at like maybe the expense of my mental and emotional health as well as my employees. We were tired at the end of it. And after Valentine's Day this year, we decided like let's not do that to each other again. Let's cut back and do something that feels good and is manageable. And we did that this year, and it was great. Like we still had a really wonderful Mother's Day. And we didn't kill ourselves. So it was awesome. I'm really, really happy about it. And I'm happy to have learned that lesson.
Yes, yes, definitely. I think that's really great to know, and to kind of balance that workload for
Yeah.
you and your team. I think that's really important
Yeah.
and kind of goes back to, some of the things that we've talked about in the past with, just kind of taking care of yourself, the self-care piece of it, especially when you're running a business, how important that really is.
It does actually, like, what we're going to talk about today is just the ways that sustainability goes beyond mechanics. And that's definitely one of them. Like, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So, you definitely have to take care of yourself and your team. And that's definitely a pillar of the sustainability element. So,
Definitely, definitely. So, I first wanted to ask you because also what's very interesting about you is that you have a BA in sustainability. So, what does that actually mean and like what kind of classes
yeah.
did you take to get that?
Totally. So I actually, my BA is in environmental studies and my concentration is in sustainability. And I was like obsessed with food security as like a young adult. And I still kind of am. I think it is like one of the most important things that like faces especially our children growing up today, and I just was never lucky enough to get a job in that field, but it's still like a great passion of mine. But anyway, so the classes I would take and stuff were largely centered around that, about like food insecurity, different ways of farming. I took some agriculture classes. I got really lucky and got to take this incredible environmental law class, which was a hybrid between Duke University and UNC. And we got like one of their professors to come over, and it was really, really informative and just taught me so much more about the broadness of environmentalism and sustainability. So the fact that I actually get to tie it in with what I'm doing now is a dream. I never thought I'd get to be able to like use these kind of, I don't know, ideas and education that I learned so many years ago. I'm really, really grateful that I get to tie it all together now.
Yeah, I think that's amazing and so cool. And so can you talk a little bit about your philosophy towards sustainability within our industry?
Yeah, I actually, this is maybe one of the things I'm most excited to talk about because I think I've had a really big change of heart over the last year. I think before, especially having, studied so much environmental and just getting this like really big, like doom and gloom picture of like, oh my God, we're in a lot of trouble. Uh, but I think I've had a change of heart over the last year, and it came about when I went to a sustainability workshop that TJ McGrath and Becky Feasby put on. And it just gave me so much inspiration that sustainability, or not just sustainability, but like changes within our industry are actually tangible. It doesn't have to be all or nothing for everyone. You can take small steps that lead to bigger steps, and you can make real differences in your community, and those are the things that carry on and actually matter. And so it's just given me this new view of like hope that, there are steps we can take. It doesn't have to be all or nothing right now. We can get there together. The point is that we are working together to get there. And I think that's really beautiful. And it really changes how I think about our future within this industry and just our future on this planet.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a glass half full kind of person, so that always makes me happy to
Yeah,
hear. I
yeah,
think, if you do have more of that doom or gloom type of, outlook of life, I think it makes it just hard to
yeah,
change. I think it makes it hard to have faith in other people and humanity. And I like to think that we're all good and we all want to do good. We just need to maybe have something put in front of our face and it might
yeah.
change the way we think and
I
how we
completely
live.
agree.
Yeah.
It also was like a big change for how much pressure I put on myself, maybe, like, because it is something I'm really passionate about. And I think sometimes I feel like I have to do it all at once or it doesn't matter. And it's like, no, it does matter. And like, you can make changes. It's just given me a great new perspective on an outlook on it.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So can you, in your first video, you talk about your sustainable toolkit, which has some
Hmm.
interesting tools that include compostable dog bags, which I just bought because I just got a brand new puppy.
Ah, yay!
Yeah, one day I'll bring her on for you guys to meet her. She's a
Yeah,
little
puppy
English
review.
bulldog. Her name's Penelope. And for everyone that's watching, they all remember my Shar Remy. He used to kind of barge in, but he did pass away 2 weeks
Oh,
ago. So
I'm so sorry.
yeah, I'm super super sad about that. But we brought in a new little girl to be part of our family, and she's the sweetest thing ever. So I can't wait for her to. But we did. So
Oh,
that sorry for the tangent.
no, I love that. This is the best
um,
tangent.
yeah, yeah, but I just bought a whole new thing of compostable dog bags. So I just thought that was funny. I was laughing when I was writing this. And so can you tell us more about your toolkit
Yeah.
that you talked about in the first video?
Yeah, totally. I'd love to talk about the dog bags too, specifically. I actually can't even take credit for that. But like one of the things in our toolkit are these things called eco wraps. And when you buy from the company that sells the eco wraps, they send you a compostable dog bag with it to like put the spark in your brain. And I'm really glad they did because to be honest, when I first got them, I was just going to use those like plastic corsage bags. It's just like what I'd been taught before, and so being able to be shown something else, that was really eye-opening for me. And I think the best part of it is had the eco route company not like put the spark in my brain, I don't think I ever would have considered it because I would have been like, oh, this is ugly. Like nobody's gonna want this. But it's so easy to cover up, like in our daily like when pickups when people want them in like a wrap. And then most people, honestly, like I've got a few funny looks. And once I explained to the people or like our guest that this is compostable, you'll be able to reuse it a couple times and it's going to keep your flowers fresh and you're not going to see the ugly dog bag, they no problem at all with it. So
Yes.
I do love that part of it. And yeah, anyway, about the other things in our toolkit. I think my main message there was I just really wanted to give people different ideas of things that they could use to get themselves comfortable with different mechanics. And, every time I do like an install at an event, I never use the same things, but I always use some sort of amalgamation of whatever is in that box. Um, and so, yeah, I think by like practicing over the years with different items, I figured out like what's worked for certain flowers, what works for different temperatures, what works for hanging upside down, what doesn't work for hanging upside down. But they're all really easy to test with, and most of the stuff is either compostable or reusable to some degree. And I really love that about it, even the dog bags.
Yes, yes. The dog bags are really great and very creative, and I haven't heard anyone else talk about that. So,
And they're green, so really easy to cover up.
yes, yes, exactly. That's really great. So, for anyone that maybe has missed the video, I put a link in the comments so that way you guys can go check it out. But you can always go to mayesh.com/blog and you'll find all of our replays there, along with obviously Mornings with Mayesh as well. Very, very cool. And also, for anyone that's listening or watching, if you guys have any questions for Heather, let us know. Or, what do you put in your sustainable toolkit? We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's hear it. Okay, so in real quick, I want to go back to the retail piece of it.
Yeah,
So, and I know your second video talked about retail floral design. Um, but before we go into like beyond the design mechanics, how do you use or how do you incorporate sustainability in your kind of retail part of your life? Because I feel like a
totally.
lot of times when we're talking about sustainability and floristry, I feel like a lot of our designers are kind of more focused on like event work or kind of big installations and
Totally.
that type of thing. So,
Absolutely.
how do you think about it on more of like kind of the everyday scale?
Yeah, so there's definitely several different ways to approach it. I think like some things that I like to think about in terms of mechanics that aren't just about, switching from single-use plastics are things like um, we go to like thrift stores or vintage stores and we'll get like really old vases that we think are fun or have some character. A lot of our customers really like resonate with that, and they'll like walk in and be like, "Oh my gosh, this reminds me of my grandma," and walk out with it, and it's really fun and cute. And then they can get inspired by the different flowers in the shop as well, based on the bases. But by doing that, we're able to like reuse materials instead of just keep like buying in from like big box wholesalers. And another like thing that you could do in that same vein is we've started working with local ceramicists who actually make their own pottery, and we've talked to them about different designs based on their own aesthetic. So right now we currently work with like three different designers that we will either have bringing in vases for like daily deliveries or a wedding or event work too, and that's really fun because it keeps our money in our community, which is like another facet of sustainability, trying to keep things more localized. That's like one of the biggest tenets of it. And so all of these things just kind of help reduce our impact. Other things you can do are compost. Like if you, and especially I know this can be hard because a lot of people, like if you live in an apartment or you don't have a backyard, like how are you going to compost on your own? Especially like bringing all that debris home from work is like not the best idea. But there are a lot of companies out there that will actually come to you and pick up your compost for like a small fee and turn it around for you. And so there's actually one here in the Triangle, and we are on a wait list for them right now. But in the interim, we've been using one in our backyard. It's been really fun to watch it turn to dirt. Um, but anyway, trying to
So
think
do
of
you
some.
like for the composting piece, like
Yeah.
how do you learn like if you don't have a company to help you with that, how do you learn how to do it? Like what did you
Oh,
guys do to learn
yeah.
about that?
So, honestly, there are so many easy, like one, two, three tutorials out there. Honestly, you can just Google. But my best friend for learning in quick and easy terms is going on TikTok. You can learn like really, really fast. And that is actually how I learned how to start my compost and everything. And I learned, signs to look for, which means it's working, signs to look for, which means it isn't. Because there are like certain tenets of composting, it has to get to a certain temperature. There has to be a certain amount of like greens to brown ratio. So these are all things that you do have to consider, but it's not hard to learn. It really isn't.
That's good. Yeah, because I feel like if someone hasn't done that before or hasn't had that in their life, it sounds very kind of intimidating. Like, how do I do it? What am I allowed to put in there? What am I not allowed to put in
Totally.
there? I don't want to mess up.
Yep, absolutely.
And I feel
Um,
like a lot of when those questions happen in people's brain, then they're like, okay, I'll figure that out later. And then it just kind of delays everything?
I think that actually is directly ties into the whole convo we're having right now about just sustainability in general and just kind of like being scared to try new things if it's like not something you really know about yet. So yeah, I completely understand and agree. But I just encourage people to try and yeah, just give it a little go, and you'll be excited at how much easier it is than you think it is.
Very good. So, would you say that you're able to compost like of your floral waste?
Yeah.
Like what percentage? Like all of
Oh
it
my
or
gosh. Yeah, well, so I have a wedding in my backyard right now that I'm drying out, but it's literally like an entire wedding, like tree branches and everything. But yeah, we're gonna compost all of it. Right now, we're just working on different sections, getting it to dry out. We're gonna turn some of it into mulch, which not everybody has to do or can do, but we just are very lucky and have that ability. But yeah, we could quite literally compost almost everything from that wedding. The only thing I'm not going to compost from that wedding is foxglove because, it's poisonous and I just don't want any of my animal babies to get into it. So, a word of caution there.
Yes.
I wouldn't put anything poisonous into it. So, no lily of the valley, maybe stay away from some delphinium, things that could hurt your babies. But otherwise, pretty much everything's going in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, speaking of babies, like literally, Penelope is 4 months old and we've had her for about 2 weeks now. And I forget how they literally put everything in their mouth. Like,
Yeah.
and she was in my backyard and I was like, I just redid like a lot of my plants in my backyard. And I was thinking about putting something poisonous back there because I was like, all my dogs have been great. They leave everything alone, but she's back there just chomping on everything. I'm like, I'm so glad
Okay.
I did not do that.
I'm really glad you didn't either.
Yeah.
Oh, Penelope, that's great.
Yeah. Poisonous plants. They are definitely a big deal. You got to pay attention
I
to
know
that.
they really are. Yeah. Sometimes I get so scared when I see like a wedding cake that has like Lily of the Valley on it or something. It just makes my soul stop. But yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, like they're wrapped in all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. You
Yeah.
never know. Yeah. Yeah. Cakes and flowers can be definitely difficult. That's for sure. Um, so you did talk a little bit about working with local ceramicists, and someone
Yeah.
had a question about that. Like, is that affordable? Like, what does that look like for you for your
Yeah.
retail
So
business?
I think it really depends on the ceramicist you work with. I'm really, really candid with my um like I don't want to keep calling them ceramics, my artists, there we go. About so before I approached all of these ladies with this idea, I was mostly using bowls from uh, the Magnolia line at Target, like the little cute like ceramic cereal bowls from
Right.
Miss Joanna Gaines. And so I was really candid with everybody, like this is the price I've been working with, and they told me, it is going to be a little bit more. But when I say a little bit more, like those vessels were, I think, anywhere from like $4 to $6, like the Magnolia ones.
Mhm.
And the ones that I'm buying from my ceramicist are anywhere from 10 to 15. So it's not that like different as far as like a wholesale perspective. Now, if you are like doing a markup, yeah, obviously, like it is going to get into like eating into your profit. But at the same time, I don't know. We do most of ours for wedding work and we just budget it in for like we just literally budget it in. And if they bring them
Right.
back, we'll give them a refund. But we've never had a case of like anyone bringing them back. Most people really want to keep them as like a gift for themselves. So I think, you have to be smart about your own pricing and everything, but I haven't had any issues with it yet. That being said, like you don't want to I mean, I'm assuming you probably don't want to approach someone who's charging, $300 for, a tiny guy. That is not going to be profitable. But there are people within your community. You just have to find them, but they're there.
Do you have any tips of like how to find people like
Yeah.
that to work with?
Honestly, it's kind of the same tips I would like give most people for trying to find like a local florist. Like go on Google, type in local ceramicist to your area, and if you can't find anything there, go on Instagram, type in a different variety of words. But also a really easy way to find things is go to if there are any pop-up markets in your area, like any holiday pop-up markets that people do with local vendors. That's an incredibly easy way to find different artists who make things. And you can go back years in those catalogs sometimes and just be able to find different people. And then once you find those people, it just leads you down another path to finding their friends and everything. So once you get your foothold, you can find them pretty easy.
Very, very cool. I love that. So it makes it sound like for when you're having vessels created, it's for wedding work, and then for your retail stuff, you do the thrifting and
Sometimes we do have like, so for our bigger arrangements, like our really, really massive arrangements, we
right.
do ask certain ceramicists to make us bigger vessels. But that I will say, like, that is part of how it is more affordable for us because these would be like, we're saying like $300 arrangements or something. So, like, we can make more sense in those terms. But yeah, I would say most of the time the vessels from the ceramicists, unless they're the big ones, are for most of our wedding work, unless someone falls in love with them in the studio. Um, And then for a lot of our in-store stuff, we'll do a lot of the thrifting. And not to say that we don't still buy like glasses from different like jar companies and stuff. We
Right.
do like,
Right.
but we just try to cut down when we can.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And so when I'm sorry, I'm just intrigued by all of
Oh
this and
no,
how
tell
the
me
whole
everything.
process works. So when you're working with a ceramicist, do you say, this is what I want? Or do you
Yes.
just show them like what you buy and you're
Oh,
like,
I'm so
you do
excited to talk
your
about this.
thing? Or do you get like, is it a collaboration? Sometimes a mix?
Totally. So it definitely depends on the ceramicist, and every one of our vessels so far has looked different. But that's what I really like about it, because all the
Right.
weddings are different. And so we're working with one person right now who does more of like a muted tonality, and that's really nice. We have another person who has more of a funky vibe, and that's really nice. And then like another more, let's say, muted modern, maybe that's a good way to put it.
Right.
And so the way we started these discussions is kind of the same way I was explaining to you, is showing them like the magnolia bowls that I was using and then saying, this is what I want. Like I want a stronger base. And then the really cool part about this is it has been so completely collaborative that every time we've gotten a new rendition of vases, we've been like, what if we add this instead this time? Or what if we do this next time? And so the really great part about it is that now we have been able to integrate it so that we've scaled back using tape in the shop for like securing our chicken wire and stuff, and instead we use this waxed hemp twine that is like waterproof, and you can definitely see it like still, but no, we don't have any complaints about it. Like we just tell people that you're going to see the mechanics and it's fine, it's just twine. But now
Right.
we've been able to work with the ceramicist, and they put little notches in it for us. So it's really easy for us to like line it up and everything. And it's just been awesome to keep building these things together. And now we have compotes being made, and we've got these like bigger urn type things. So it's just been a really fun process to get to know each other in this as well. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like that's really cool being able to tailor something to your specific needs
Yeah.
to work with the mechanics that you want to use. That's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, like the cost is still reasonable to me. Like I think the ones last time were $14 with all of the changes we made. So I don't want to talk about anyone's prices. Like I
Right,
don't know
right.
what other ceramicists would charge, but I'm just saying, for us, like it still does make it pretty feasible. And I'm really excited to be able to work with these artists who I respect and love so much too, and get to see their stuff come into the shop. It's just awesome every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. So what other kind of, processes or ideas do you incorporate sustainability into your business that is beyond kind of floral and design mechanics? I know there are a few other
Yeah,
topics that you wanted to touch on.
yeah, totally. I would love to talk about just like the overall like work health environment, and I would really love to start with talking about paying like people living wages. And I know that that can be really hard and something that might need to be worked up towards, but we pay all of our employees a living wage, and it's been, I don't know, for me personally, just so awesome to see them be less stressed. And not to say like a living wage is like ever enough, or
Right.
depending where you are, but like to know that I'm doing my part as much as I can to help them have like, secure financials and not come to work stressed out. Like it's great. And I love that aspect of it. And then on top of that, I think it doesn't just end with, making sure people are paid well. I think, we also, one thing I'm proud that we do is we give people mental health days. And I know this is radical, but it is something that I feel very like excited that we do and like very strongly about. When I was living in Chicago, I worked for this German school, and it was like a German integration school. So I was the only American there, and everybody else spoke German around me all the time. It was really wild. But they did this incredible thing, because they were all still from Germany, where you just got unlimited time off. You got your summers off, and then you took the time you needed it. And by doing that, like it allowed people to live their lives the way they wanted to, but without without taking advantage of it. Like, and we last year started doing the same thing, and it's been really, really awesome to just see everybody be able to take the time they need and not be stressed about it. And just, I don't know, like it just feels like a really nice, healthy work environment. I'm really glad that I get to work with the employees I get to work with, or and, like my coworkers, not my employees, they're my
Right,
coworkers.
right.
And um, it's just nice to see them like happy and doing okay. And it's really nice. I don't know, man. It's been a weird thing being a business owner and having people like be so scared to like take a doctor's appointment. It's like, no, if you need to go to the doctor, please go to the doctor. Like we will
Right.
be okay, you know? And so that is something that I'm really, really proud of in this, I don't know, sphere. And then oh man, I got really went on a tangent. What else do I want to talk about for our
Well
retail?
well, with the kind of your work health, the way that's all set up. So can you talk about like how big your team is? Like how does
Yeah,
that work? Like if people have kind of unlimited time off and, you know, do you have to balance that? Like,
yeah.
I need to have, a minimum amount of people here at the, working as a
So
team.
I will say that, like, when I say unlimited time off, it doesn't mean like, every request is approved. I will, if there really is like a wedding or something and I really, really need someone, I'll say like, hey, I'm so sorry, but like take another week, but not, it can't be this week. And that
Right.
really doesn't happen a lot because we all have access to like the same calendar. And so it seems like everybody does a pretty good job of respecting the balance and knowing like, okay, someone took a week off there, so I probably should like stay put for a while kind of thing. But as far as like terms of how big our team is, it's myself, and then I have one full-time employee, and then two part-time employees who work anywhere between like 20 and 30 hours, and then we've got a delivery driver as well.
Okay.
Um, and so I guess our biggest like time off taker is probably our person who works the most hours, and I don't she doesn't ever take advantage of the system, and I'm really, really grateful to like have found her. I know it's not like that in every work environment, but I do think if you find the right people who value the right things that you do, it is doable. And like I said before, like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can work up to these things and find a team that makes this work for you. And I definitely didn't used to do like unlimited time off before too. It's just something that I really wanted to like get towards. And then we finally got to a place as a team where it's like, no, we can do this now. Like it's doable. And so yeah, it's about baby steps.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And having a great team is huge. I love my team too, and I'm always thankful for them, and couldn't even imagine like how I would get through a day without them. So they
It
definitely,
makes all the difference.
it really, really does. It does. Was there anything else in terms of sustainability beyond design mechanics that you wanted to talk about?
I'm sure there is, but I feel like we covered so much, and I think I whacked my brain out on that last question. But I would really love it if people would give our videos a watch. The first video, we talk about the sustainability toolbox, and then our last video, we talk about more ways that you can make your retail space more sustainable, and just my overall ethos of like taking baby steps to get there, and just giving you different ideas to consider. So yeah, I'd love it if you guys give it a watch.
Very cool, very cool. Do you have anything new coming up or any projects that you're working on that you can
I
talk about?
don't right now. We just finished a marathon of weddings, and so we're finally going to take a breath as a team. And things always slow down here a bit in the summer, so we're going to take a breather this summer and then kick back up with wedding season in the fall.
Awesome. Well, that's well-deserved break, that's for sure. And guys, if you want to connect with Heather, I put in her Instagram. It's a Blossom and Bone Florals,
It's a
all spelled
mouthful.
out. Yeah. And then the website is blossomandboneflorals.com. I love that it's all the same across the board. I think that's helpful to when people want to find you. So
Yeah.
yeah, great job on that. So no, all of this was awesome, Heather. Thank you so much for sharing kind of what you do for your company and kind of your philosophy, your background, And let's see, I just got a question in from YouTube, and they want to know, how does the wedding season look after COVID? If you want to chime in about what your wedding season looks like, and if anyone else wants to
Yeah.
chime in about what their wedding season looks like, let's
I
hear
would
it.
love to hear anyone else's opinion too, but
Yeah.
my wedding season, it seems like and this is just us personally, again, because remember, we are a retail shop, so we probably do significantly more or fewer weddings than the average, like florist
Right,
on here.
right.
But for me, all of my COVID weddings have caught up, and I am now like in the clear. We're just moving forward with new weddings. And as far as like, I remember so many of the issues during COVID, like the height of COVID, were, transit issues and just, I mean, everything. It was, A to Z. And that was across every industry. But I feel like that has largely been like fixed. But I haven't really noticed any, and this is coming from me. So, I'm down to hear anybody else's, but I feel a lot better where we are at right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I feel like we see things just, yeah, kind of going back to normal. It's not like
Yeah.
the crazy, everyone's drowning and just trying to keep up. And so
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. Just finding our new normal and moving on up
Yeah.
for sure. Great question. Thank you for sending that in. And guys, I think that's a wrap on today's Mornings with Maya. So, Heather, thank you again so much for coming on and
Thank
sharing
you,
your
Yvonne.
story with us. I really appreciate everything that you've done with your videos as well. Just amazing stuff. Guys, make sure that you check it out when you get a chance if you haven't already. Again, I put the links up in the comments, but also you can just go visit mayesh.com and find it up on our blog, or YouTube, or Facebook, or Instagram. They're everywhere.
All the things.
All the things, all the things. And next week, I will be back with David Dawson to chat about our Colombian grown Japanese sweet peas that are now available throughout the year at all of your Mayish branches, guys. So stay tuned for more details. And again, thank you, Heather. Thank you, everyone, for spending time with us today. And I will see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.